Hey, want to know the secret to potentially massive tax savings in Malaysia? Well, it's not some complicated loophole. It's actually all about one simple thing: your tax resident status. This right here could be your golden ticket. So let's jump right in.
I mean, just imagine for a second. What if you could get a VIP pass for your taxes here? You know, one that unlocks a totally different set of rules, a bunch of benefits, and some serious discounts.
Well, that pass is real. It's called being a tax resident. And trust me, it's way more than just a label. It's a financial game changer that can have a huge impact on your wallet. Okay, first things first, let's bust a huge myth right now. Your tax residence has absolutely nothing to do with your passport or your citizenship. You could be a Malaysian citizen and still be a non-resident for tax purposes. And you could be a foreigner who is a tax resident. They're completely separate things.
So, if it's not about your passport, then what is it about? Well, it's really just a numbers game. This golden ticket is won by doing one simple thing: counting the number of days you are physically in Malaysia.
So let's officially define it. Being a tax resident is a status you get based purely on how much time you physically spend in Malaysia. And earning that status is what unlocks all those great tax benefits. It's all about where you are and for how long.
The good news is there isn't just one way to get the status. The tax law actually gives us 4 different paths to becoming a resident. So let's walk through each one step by step.
First up, we've got the simplest, most direct path. We're going to call it the anchor rule. Just think of it like you're dropping an anchor in Malaysia for a really big chunk of the year.
And the magic number for this rule, it's 182. If you are physically in Malaysia for 182 days or more in one calendar year, boom, you automatically qualify as a tax resident. Let's see how this works. Meet Alice. In 2024, she was in Malaysia for a grand total of 192 days. Since that's more than 182, she is officially a tax resident for 2024. See? Simple as that.
Okay, so what if you don't hit that 182-day mark in a single year? No worries. Let's move on to our second path, what we'll call the bridge rule. This one's a bit more clever, because it lets you connect your time across different years.
Okay, so check out this scenario. Meet David. In 2024, he has a really long stay of 265 days, so he's definitely a resident for that year. But then, in 2025, he's only here for a short trip, just 90 days.
So here's the big question. Based on that short stay, does David get to be a resident for 2025 too? What do you think? And the answer is yes, he does. Because his short 90-day stay in 2025 is directly connected or linked to his long stay in 2024, it basically forms a bridge, and that makes him a resident for 2025 as well.
And get this, the rule works forward too. Take Raj, for example. He has a short 20-day stay at the very end of 2024. That little visit acts as a bridge to his longer 140-day stay in 2025. He's a tax resident for both years. Pretty cool, right?
Now you might be wondering, what if I have to leave for a bit? Does that break the bridge? Well, the bridge is surprisingly strong. It doesn't break for things like official work trips, getting medical care for you or your family, or even short holidays, as long as they're not more than 14 days total.
All right, let's move on to path number 3, the frequent visitor rule. You can think of this one like a loyalty card for people who visit Malaysia pretty often, even if it's for shorter periods of time.
So it's a two-part test. First, you need to be here for at least 90 days in the current year. And second, we look back at the last 4 years. If you are a resident or just stayed for 90-plus days in 3 of those 4 years, then you're in.
Let's look at Madam Lee's situation. She stays for 91 days in 2025, so check, that's step 1. Now, because she was a resident or stayed over 90 days in 3 of the last 4 years, her history basically gets her loyalty card punched. She becomes a resident for 2025.
And finally, we have the most interesting path of all, which we're going to call the sandwich rule. This is for a very specific situation where you need to fill in a gap year.
The logic is actually pretty simple. If you were a tax resident for the 3 years right before this year, and you're also a resident in the year right after it, the government just kind of sandwiches the year in the middle and makes you a resident for that year too. And here's the crazy part. You might not have spent a single day in Malaysia that year.
Okay, so we've covered the 4 main paths. But you know how it is, there's always some crucial fine print. Let's look at 2 quirky but really important rules you need to know. So what happens if your flight lands at KLIA at 11:55 p.m.? You're only in the country for 5 minutes of that day. Does that even count?
You bet it does. Any part of a day, we're talking even just a few minutes, counts as one full day for tax residency. That's a really powerful little detail to remember when you're counting up your days.
And then there's this very special rule for Malaysian citizens who work for the government overseas. Let's take Sarah. She works for the Malaysian Embassy in London. Even if she lives there the entire year, she's automatically considered a Malaysian tax resident, just because of her job.
Okay, so we've gone through all these rules and we've been counting all these days, but why? Why does any of this actually matter? Well, this is the part we've all been waiting for, the VIP payoff.
And this, my friends, is where it all pays off. As a resident, you get taxed on a scaled rate, from 0 up to 30%, and you can claim all sorts of reliefs, for your family, lifestyle, education, you name it. But as a non-resident, you get hit with a flat 30% tax rate on everything, and you get absolutely zero tax reliefs. The difference is just massive.
And there's one more perk. As a resident, any income you earn from outside Malaysia and bring back home is generally tax-exempt, at least until the end of 2026. That's another huge advantage.
So, there you have it. That's the playbook for Malaysia's tax residency. The rules are all about counting days, but as you can see, the payoff can change your whole financial picture. Now that you know the paths, you gotta ask yourself, which route to that golden ticket is yours?
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Dore's Shelf.